And so you are doing a lot of interesting swimming about. And I would like you to roll 3 dice because this is your first lesson in basic resolution in
Yep.
Champions, which is to roll 3 dice. And what you want is your number or less. And in this case, for awareness, that number is your intelligence.
Which is 12. So I'll add them up, and I roll a 4, a 1, and a 2. So that's 7.
Exactly. So the interesting point is that you do not, in your quest for the yellow thing, the golden thing,
Yeah.
the awareness that you are getting is very different. It is that something is following you. Something is that everywhere you go, that something from the depth, something deep, is attending to you. It's as though something had followed you from the deeper water of the archipelago. And only now are you, when you're out of those areas into the city, you are getting this terrible feeling of something is coming. And it's coming every time I go somewhere. It's behind me. It's not, and so that's your situation.
Okay.
Now you have, it's a strange sense, but I don't think you have the analytical capacity to analyze it. Okay.
No.
So at this point, that is your awareness that something is tracking you. So we will go there to. Oh, then I would need to ask Ola the same question.
Yeah. What you were just describing before with the YouTube channel was kind of now that it must have been the first time I really realized that they're actually onto something that means me. Mm-hmm. They put the focus on me, and the other one is that they're at least Micke Byström seems to be friendly and a kind of a potential ally. Right. What I want to do is something that I should have done before, and that's do a kind of a basic check-up on Micke Byström. Who is he? Where does he live? And this is the way I imagine it. If there is a need for the suit will be on me.
Right.
If there's not, the suit will not be there.
I get it. Yeah.
So absolutely. That's what I will probably, and what I will do is I will probably on my own really easily find his address, and then I will go outside and take my bike and just move towards where he is and do some internet stuff. And if the suit will appear on me, then I will go with the flow, basically.
I understand. So at the moment, the suit is not the issue. We can begin with you doing computer-oriented things. Yeah. This is a detective work role. What you have is a resolution roll, and detective work is based on intelligence as well. So you will do the 3 dice and roll for that number or less.
All right. So I roll. I'm supposed to roll less than 13 now.
Yes, 13 or less. Yes.
Yes, and that's 13 actually.
That's fine. In this game, there are no degrees of success. There are no criticals or anything like that. Just degree. A 3 is an automatic success, and an 18 is an automatic failure. But aside from that, it's just success or failure. So the there is no fumbles. No. It's just an automatic failure if you roll that low.
Yeah.
Now, in the case of the detective work, and this ties in perhaps with your bicycling somehow, because you are thinking as you cycle. The issue here is that Micke is what they call an opinion maker. When he gets on YouTube, then people start repeating what he says, and he is a science fan. He's a fan of science, but he likes science to be more interesting than it really is. So he's he's not particularly accurate. But on the other hand, you don't. How am I going to put it? The risk here, as has happened in some other cases with him, is that he will start inventing what the phenomenon is, and then he kind of brands it. He kind of brands the, like he'll invent the name for a cryptic phenomenon, and then that becomes the brand. He kind of, owns it, or he gets a lot of
and that
clickbait
branding procedure. Is that sometimes wrong?
Yes, correct. Sometimes it's very advantageous, or other times it's just based on something completely stupid. So it's that's what you note, is that he has a way of making whatever it is he talks about work for him. But he seems very sincere. Maybe he seems very sincere. It's not.
If I'm saying that, interpreting that he maybe is a bit too rushes to conclusions a bit too early. Is that what you're saying?
But I would say that is a radical understatement.
All right. Okay.
Right. You are already being linked to the Incas.
Yeah.
In his presentation. So, yeah, it's
so it's that kind of science.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, that's going on. I want to let both of you know about a little bit more of your routine investigations, and this is based off of the things you said that you paid attention to every day or very frequently. And in that case, we don't really need roles, so I can just tell you, what you have learned through the course of a period of time. This would be the result of the last winter. Winter and the onset of the coronavirus and the policies. These are the things that have happened. Number one is that since Carl teaches at gymnasium, you have had to do classes online. And with a lot of your students who are from, some of the families don't have the internet or are not as good at, manipulating the internet as a lot of other people. And and you have had terrible attendance. A lot of the students are not attending their classes, and it's quite difficult. In one of the online classes, a parent has been attending, because they're scared that they don't quite get it. They think that if they attend, it will be okay if their kid isn't there. And so they're trying. That's difficult because their Swedish is kind of tough. But at the end of that class, they ask you, they say that they're doing this because you're the only teacher that their kid likes. His name is Sandir. And that he is from, his family has immigrated from a country called Suriname, which is on the northern coast of South America, as you know. And the family is doing okay, but they are not really very wealthy or anything, and the kids are really struggling in school. The Swedish schools are actually very good about language support for immigrating children, but Suriname has a very broad array of languages, some of which are not known anywhere else. There's actually something called Sranantengo, which is this, or Sranantongo, which is completely unique to that region, and it's not Spanish, and it's it's very difficult, and so the school has never found anybody who can actually do the native language. The best they can do is Spanish or Dutch, both of which are common in that area. So
Spanish and Dutch.
Yes, Suriname was a Dutch colony until 1975.
All right.
So there's some other interesting things here, but the point is that the parent is very worried because Sandir, who is not a bad criminal immigrant kid, as the stereotype goes, has not been seen for some time, and the parent is very worried. So they don't know who to talk to. So we are talking now in the abstract about the last 6 months or so, or the last few months, that you probably have looked into some of this, and you have learned some. We will talk more about it when you meet with Havsmannen, but the point is that you have been aware that there have been some uncharacteristic problems with some of the teens from northern South America in Goteborg. It's not an enormous community, but there is some history here. In the last 10 years, this butcher, this atrocity person in Suriname from the 80s has been both president and under criminal indictment. And so it's been kind of this back and forth for the last 10 years. And in 2015, it seemed like he became all powerful. In 2019, he went to prison. So the right wing and the former protesters in Suriname have been flipping back and forth in terms of who is most fearful. And furthermore, in quite a while ago, in 2003, there was an agreement that the European Union entered into with a number of countries, including Suriname, that made immigration a lot easier. So during these last 10 years, people from Suriname have actually been, they heard about how great Sweden is, and they have, a number of them, not very many in big terms, but it's a little spike. In the last 10 years, there has been sort of a influx, but it's like Cuba. They're from one end of the spectrum or the other, right? Some of them were fleeing this president guy, and some of them were fleeing because he went to prison. So
is that Desiree Delano?
Yeah, that's him.
Bouterse. Ingen aning. Don't know the pronunciation. Desi Bouterse.
He was. He's indicted for a lot of really horrible atrocities back in the 1980s, and like I said, was the on and off president, for quite a while recently.
He was the de facto leader of a military coup during the 80s, 80 to 87. They had some sort of military rule. Yeah.
So you can see that through a series of coincidental agreements and things that Goteborg got its own little share of fallout from these events. And as you explained to me, in fact, that let's see. There we go. Yes, in Berghuin, it could be anybody, right? Anybody could be in an apartment there. So, you have a pretty interesting student groups in your classroom, is what I have to say. It reminds me a little bit of my classrooms back at the university in Chicago.
What I would say is that the people from South America, Spanish-talking people, are have usually been in Sweden. His parents has usually been here for a longer time, than most of the kids living in Bergsjön. They have a bit of higher social status than
more common, at least, yeah.
Maybe so, but remember that Suriname is a poor country, and it may not be the same as like somebody from Colombia or someone from
exactly.
So
I think the biggest group is probably Chile,
right.
Where there were a whole bunch of people during the 70s and Pinochet and all that stuff.
Right. Well, this is like a very tiny replay of the same thing, and it is more recent.